Welcome to the Association 100 podcast. The A100 podcast is an extension of our Association 100 bi-monthly newsletter that focuses on best practices, top trends, helpful ideas, and smart strategies and tactics that work in the world of associations. The podcast will feature meaningful conversations with association professionals across the country, taking a deeper dive into trending topics, offering insights that both inform and inspire. Welcome back to the A100 podcast. I'm Colleen Gallagher, and I'm joined by my co-host, Christine Stay. Video is everything in today's world, so we're really excited to welcome Jim Waxman, producer and CEO of Association Studios. Jim, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Colleen. It's a pleasure to be here.
Great. Well, Jim and I had the pleasure of meeting actually at ASAE's annual conference last year, and it's coming up very soon. So we're excited to have the chance to connect again. Tell me a little bit about Association Studios and what you do, how you work with associations.
Yeah, of course. And thanks again. I'm a fan of the A100. I could sum it up to say that we try to be as collaboratively as possible with associations. Just like any organizations or businesses, they come in all shapes and sizes, and some have internal teams and some have no teams at all. And so we do our best to meet our customers where they are and really help scale up their video productions.
I love the meeting your customers where they are. I think that for any business is so important if you want to succeed.
Sure, absolutely. We just try to partner that way. And so we do everything we possibly can with a collaborative mindset.
Great. So it's funny, when we talk about video on the A100 here, we talk a lot about it like we do with social media. So 5-10 years ago, I might have still asked, hey, are you using social media when I'm talking to an association? Are you using video? But now it's, well, tell me how you're using it. It's almost a foregone conclusion that they are. But there are some that maybe still just don't think they know how or don't have the bandwidth, or maybe some that just don't do video as much as they could be. So what do you say to those associations?
Well, first of all, just to frame this up the correct way, and I don't mean to be insulting to anybody, but it really is truly close to statistically zero. I haven't really measured that,
I bet. Yeah.
But I can't tell you the last time an organization said we don't do video or something along those lines.
I believe it.
And like you described, that was not always the case. And truthfully, it really wasn't that long ago, 10, 15 years ago, video was pretty challenging. And it took an awful lot of planning and reinventing every time. And it was expensive. Yeah. And none of those things are really the case anymore. Now, a lot of the stuff has really great formulas. It's all pretty easy to do. It does not take much time to do. Therefore, it's not very expensive anymore to do. You certainly learn the tricks of things. And what would I say to an organization that is not doing video? I might just start with why and ask
right.
why are you not using video? And I imagine that there are some out there who still think that I wouldn't know where to begin, or my members don't really want video, which of course would be ridiculous because video is so easy for everybody to consume on their mobile devices and social media channels and whatnot. But truly, I would try to figure out why they weren't. Maybe they think it's a budget issue or something like that, when really nothing. All forms of media are really important in creating content. Podcasts like this one, I'm a huge fan of blogs. All of that's really important, but video truly is king. It's multi-sensory, it's very cost effective, and it's just important for any organization and company.
And I think to that point, just what you're saying about how big video has come, look at TikTok, look at Instagram Reels. we are surrounded by it. So sure. If you're not using it, it is everywhere these days.
Yeah. One of the things that I just love to kind of marvel at sometimes, I've been doing video production for, Association Studios is 17 years old. And,
wow.
and I like change and things like that. It's kind of where I thrive. And so I absolutely love how much change has taken place in this space. And I started the company because I recognize that associations have challenges communicating with their members. And, I'm in Tallahassee, Florida. And so, I would go to our state house and just record lobbyist types advocating in committee meetings, and then go to a state association and say, don't you want your members in Miami to see this? And of course, the answer was always yes. And that's how I got started. But Christine, keep this in mind, because I think it's so fascinating. Back then, Facebook was it was there, but only if you had a student ID.
Oh, so yeah.
Nobody's on Facebook.
Oh, those are the days.
I don't date myself, but yep, I was right there in the beginning.
You don't want to date yourself. I didn't even have a student ID anymore to get onto Facebook. And then like smartphones weren't even out yet, let alone it'd be a few years later before you're even recording crappy video on a phone. And nowadays, everybody is on social. Everybody has a smartphone. We're even teaching people how to shoot video on their phones because everybody's phone has an HD camera on it, shooting fantastic video. I mean, it's just everywhere. So things have changed so much, and it's exciting.
It is. Now, you were talking about why associations need to do this. I'm going to go kind of the bad cop side.
Come on.
What are the typical mistakes that you see associations making with videos from your professional standpoint?
Yeah, there's a couple. I got to figure out which ones to narrow those down to.
You're like, how much time do we have?
there are a couple. Maybe a segue from the last question is sometimes we'll find somebody who might be a little bit more new to this, and they want to just cram too much into a video.
I can see that.
Yeah, they'll want this wrap-up video at a conference to play at the conference and on social and include this and that. And you're like, wow, that is a really long video. And part of our attention spans, I mean, even videos that are 2 or 3 minutes can feel really long. And
getting worse and worse.
And so I'll have sometimes, again, not often, but somebody will come to me and say, we want a 10-minute video on this. And the first question I usually ask is, how'd you pick 10 minutes? Like, and I always say, a video should be as long as it needs to be and not a second longer. So if it's a 10-minute video, great, let's make a 10-minute video. Just tell me why. Does it need to be that? So you see that kind of thing every now and then, come up with video.
Yeah, I think that's interesting because I feel like everybody knows in their own mind, oh, I wouldn't watch a video that long. But then when you go to make a video, well, I have a lot of important things to say. I couldn't possibly say it in less than 60 seconds. So I just think that's a funny dynamic in the way people think about it when they're trying to make a video.
And Colleen, is funny too, because not everybody has the same definition of what a short video is.
Yeah, I can see that too.
So sometimes you hear, we're going to make this really short, like 5 minutes. I'm like, okay.
Oh, okay.
That better be a really incredibly exciting 5 minutes if that's what we're going to get into today. and there's some others, but for us, we do produce a lot of videos, and we do work with a lot of organizations. So we've kind of, I feel like we've seen it all and can work with potential situations before they become real challenges to help kind of guide a little bit.
Yeah, and that's actually a good segue into the next thing is you've worked with so many associations. What are some success stories that you've seen? Like any unique ways that you've seen associations use video to promote a conference or a meeting?
Yes, absolutely. Before I describe that, if you don't mind, let me just describe what I think is really cool. So we've kind of talked about the evolution of video, at least in the last 10, 15 years, and how things are just getting shorter, and a lot of stuff is now consumer generated on their mobile phones and all of that kind of stuff. And Colleen, we brought up as well that we're not having to talk people into video anymore. We just know they're doing it. So tell me how you're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So what I think is really interesting is what started off as like, well, we need a membership video, and we need to promote our conference, and we need an advocacy video, things like that. Now, and for some time now, what we're seeing is a lot of short form type stuff. And what I mean by that is it could be cleaning up webinars. It could be the onboarding videos, which we might talk about, because I think we're doing a series of that right now that I think is really cool and worth sharing.
I love that.
A lot of use of video beyond like really what was our bread and butter just a few years ago. And that part is getting really cool to see. It's like, so when I say short, I don't necessarily mean short in terms of how long is the video. I mean like stuff that just takes us 1 hour to clean up or 1 hour to produce.
Yes.
Like
Okay.
Right.
Love that.
Yeah, really short stuff that way. It's neat.
Do you think there's also, with the COVID pandemic and the way we were all on Zoom and video, kind of a change in expectation that it always needs to be perfect and beautifully edited and high quality, high camera footage? Whereas now it seems like you could have someone send you cell phone shots and things like, well, I mean, also today's phones are very high quality, sure. but it does seem like there's not the expectation that a video has to be absolutely perfect to be able to put it out anymore.
Yeah, and COVID probably does deserve some credit for that, because everybody jumped on Zoom or some sort of video conferencing, something or other, all at the same time. And nowadays, it is 100% accepted for our customers to do interviews via Zoom. I mean, almost every day.
Yeah.
And that is, and you're right, it is a much more natural, maybe even authentic kind of look. And some organizations don't like that at all, and I get it, but others do. And let me tell you, I'm a fan of it. I like doing interviews via Zoom. I think the message comes across great when you have somebody remotely. And it's a huge time and money saver to use modern technology for organizations. And so, I think you definitely see a lot more of that user-generated content and stuff like this over Zoom.
And accessibility, like having the ability for us to just jump on whenever, instead of setting a meeting, to have an in-person video 2 weeks in advance. Like it's such in real time, which is, I'm sure it's helpful for you when you're producing. So
pretty frequently, when we are doing a lot of interviews, this particular organization, and it's heavier in the summertime too. Any one organization doing awards videos, we may do 20, 25 interviews because it's a series of videos. Maybe there's 8 videos and you got 3 people per video. So that's 24, something like that. Wow. And the hardest part by far is scheduling. I mean, they're just the hardest part of scheduling people. So, Christine, if you can talk them into using Zoom, you just like eliminated 90% of the challenge. When you can do that, for sure.
Exactly.
Yeah, that makes life so much easier when you lower those barriers to entry, and just people are intimidated by being like in a studio or things like that. Whereas going on Zoom, you do it every day. So, I can do this. And
time and space are 2 really big barriers. Yeah, for sure. But it occurred to me too, Christine, I didn't really answer a question about some of the cool things promoting conferences. So I just wanted to drop this one in here because
good, yeah,
it's so successful and I'm so impressed by it. One of the big shows, big expo that we work with, tens of thousands of people at this show, 60,000 plus. And so they are the behemoth in their industry by far. And but they don't rest on that. They're always about what can we do? How do we take it to the next level? And they have among their industry podcasters who have their own really great, strong following. And so we now produce videos with the podcasters, with the podcaster promoting the show. And at the show, they get their own podcast pavilions where they are doing their podcast there. And the fans, they come up, they take their photos. It's the coolest thing. They want their photos with their favorite podcaster, and they get it. And the podcasters sign things, and they give away T-shirts. And we're making these really cool videos all about it. And it is a way for our customer, to the best of my knowledge, really not have any additional spend. They're just leveraging.
That's really cool.
Oh, they love it. They are like, they are the ones that are walking tall and high because they come in here and they're being recognized by the big dog in the industry, and the big dog in the industry really loves that they're amplifying out that message everywhere. So that's a super cool use of video that everybody just loves.
So smart. I love that. And anyone could do that. That's such a great idea.
Absolutely.
And, other associations could take that and run with it. That's fantastic. I am super intrigued, though, to hear about what you're saying with the onboarding videos, because we actually at our firm did our first onboarding videos for our latest intern we hired. We just, instead of giving this long SOP, decided to have one of our staff film some SOPs and quick tutorials over video. And it was so much better and easier to understand. And then they can go back to it. So we'd love to hear what you've done with associations on that front. Yeah,
absolutely. And hopefully the content that you created there is pretty evergreen. So, you go through the time and the effort of doing it once, and now hopefully you don't have to touch it again for, 3 years or more.
Exactly.
Yeah. So we're working with this one association, and they're pretty large staffed association, around 200 employees in the association. And so onboarding is a real thing. It is time consuming, and it's a real deal. So what we did there is we shot the executive director in her office, and she basically bookended this series. So it opens up with her welcoming people to the team, and then closes as well with her doors always open kind of stuff. But in between, I think there's about 16 or so different, I'll just call them modules or chapters, and those are all animated, voiceovers and animations. And so it makes it really easy when we do need to go in and change something, that we don't necessarily have to, Christine, as we were talking about earlier, logistically scheduling time and all this kind of stuff. It's like real easy to update things as we need to. And we all know that animated videos are engaging. They hold people's attention longer. So the videos themselves are pretty short, as they should be, and they're made up into these chapters. And so just kind of animated in between. And they just look amazing. They're very, very happy with them.
That's so great. And you can just imagine, what a difference in terms of impact the onboarding process is. You're not having eyes glaze over if someone's read tons of papers or is stuck in an hour-and-a-half lecture. Like, just watch those short animated videos. That has to just be so much more impactful.
That's absolutely right. Yeah, they're great.
Very cool. Well, anything around member engagement you want to share?
Yes, nothing speaks to a member like a member. So,
that's a good quote.
I kind of like to put out two videos back to back, and one is, it might be animated or voiceover or this or that, but it's a little bit more informational and hype and whatnot. And then I like to follow that up with a member testimonial video. And I use that same formula all the time, regardless of if it's promoting conferences and events or membership or anything like that. But truly, this is, to me, where video becomes like borderline magical, in that when you're making eye contact with somebody, even through a screen, it builds trustworthiness. And so whatever the industry may be, if you see somebody else, a peer of yours, who is giving their testimonial about why this is something great, you just cannot do better than that. That's going to speak incredible amount of volume.
Yeah, the trust you can build through video is, I think, one of the best elements of it. I mean, that goes a long way.
It is incredible. I don't begin to know the science behind it, but I do know as humans we trust eye contact. We trust people when we see their face, and that works just the exact same through a video on a screen. So works great.
Definitely. And now, Jim, you mentioned before when you first were starting in Tallahassee that, you were taking those advocacy videos. Have you seen any changes from when you started then to now? Because obviously, just like politics in general have changed so much. And has anything you've seen a big change at all from then to now?
Oh, yes. Some things never change.
Yep.
Most associations exist primarily for advocacy. That's they're political in nature that way. And so to that end, having your day on the Hill where you get all your members to come to, whether it's your state house or to Washington, D.C., that is super. That's just never changed, and I can't imagine that ever changing. And maybe we'll save it for another time. But there's a complete formula to how that goes. So yeah, all of that part stays the same. We don't go in the Capitol. Florida has very open sunshine laws. You can go practically anywhere except for maybe the bathroom with the camera on. And so that's what we did. We went in there and we shot the testimonials and that sort of stuff. And it did take a lot of time to do that back then. And we really don't do that sort of thing anymore. Mm-hmm. A lot of state houses are webcasting things, and
True.
That's great. I'm happy not to be doing that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But your days on the Hill, countless days on the Hill that we do with those.
Very cool. Well, any other success stories, case studies you want to share before we get to the AI topic that I know I'm super excited to talk about?
Oh, there's tons. Anytime we can collaborate, anytime that we have our members, our customers getting involved in things, anytime. I mean, there's nothing incredibly challenging other than the scheduling of awards videos, but it just warms my heart when I do happen to sometimes be in the same room as somebody receiving things. Like, all of those things are great success stories. That's
awesome. Very cool. Well, so ChatGPT came bursting onto the scene late last year, and it seems to be every conversation these days. And then it seems, at ONU we have a weekly meeting where we have a section dedicated to what's new in AI, because I think every day there's something new and a new app and another way to try it. But I'd love to hear how you guys are using AI with video and what you're doing.
Yeah, well, actually, it's really a practical application for us. Not all of our videos require scripts, and we do have script writers on our team. But anytime you add a script to a project, you're adding 1 or 2 weeks to the timeline, to the deliverable. Mm-hmm. And most of our customers know that, and that's not a big deal. But nonetheless, if you can figure out a way to shorten that, you do it. And one of the ways that GPT has really made itself the easiest to use and the most reliable is in writing scripts and things like that. So we have integrated that into our production management platform. So we're now the users can go in and create scripts, and then they can still send it to a script writer. But now a script writer is giving it back to them in an hour or two instead of.
What a difference.
We need to schedule a meeting, and then the script writer goes and writes for a few days, and then it goes back, and then we come back with edits. Like, it just really takes 2 weeks down to half a day.
Yeah. and you still need those eyes
Sure.
from professionals, which, we keep on saying, oh, AI is going to take over. And we still need that human touch, that storytelling. That's what I tell, my mom's so worried. She's going, robots are taking over. I'm like, no, we still need humans.
It is absolutely true. We're nowhere near a place yet where you could, just not have human eyes on it. And I think it's going to be really interesting to see. I mean, obviously, this is going to impact a lot of industries and professions, but I think it's also going to elevate the need for true human, creative, brilliant content. That so I think there's going to be some real winners lifted up in this when it all is said and done.
Yeah, I love hearing the positive outlook that comes from you on that, and I do think that's so true. And there's so much potential and opportunity. I know for me, the biggest thing is it gets you past that blank page, whether it's a script or, in our world, maybe coming up with headlines and subject lines for emails and things like that to just have something to start with. Yes, you need that human touch to finesse it and get it to the final step so it doesn't sound like a robot's talking to you. But the time it takes away from that initial creative process is so helpful.
Isn't that great? It really is. Yeah.
Time saving.
Sure.
Anything else you want to add about AI, ChatGPT? I'm sure more things are going to come out every day.
Yes, it's another fun ride that we are all on together. So buckle up, have fun with it. It's going to be okay.
That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to.
It's a good thing you love change, Jim.
Yes.
I do.
Agreed. Well, thank you so much for that. And we're going to take a little bit of a turn here. We're going to go towards our little fun portion and let our audience really kind of get to know you in a lightning round kind of style. And that's how we can conclude every podcast. So first of all, Jim, where did you grow up?
In Tallahassee, Florida.
Oh, fantastic. And if you won the lottery tomorrow, would you still work?
100%. But I picture myself like Tony Stark. Like, yes, I'm still working, but I've just got endless money to do really cool things all at the same time. And take my wife out for a date. Like this is going to be awesome. So yes, I'm working. I'm just not sure.
That's a great answer.
It is. I love that. I just like the superhero part. Yes. What is your favorite movie or TV show? And it could be of all time or something that you're currently like obsessed with.
Yeah. So I really don't watch TV shows. Just haven't fit that into my schedule, but I do love movies.
Busy. Okay.
Yeah, I do love movies. And picking one would be really hard, but if I had to do it, I'd say The Godfather. It's The Godfather is just perfection everywhere.
Classic.
Yeah,
it is classic. And now is the first one your favorite out of the trilogy?
Yes, it actually is. I'm mesmerized with how they shoot that. It's just it's a beautiful, beautiful film.
Yeah, I know from your eyes, from the video standpoint, I'm sure. And it's just a gorgeous movie to watch, like you said.
So I know this is a lightning round, but Christine, do I get to ask you the same thing? Are you a TV or movie person? And
yeah, I think I'm both. You know what it is, especially TV shows, when I get into something, I get into it.
Good.
So like right now on Apple TV, I just finished Silo, which is kind of like a sci-fi.
Sounds like it.
Yeah. And I don't even know how to describe. It's kind of like Westworld meets, I don't know. It is so well done. And talk about the cinematography. It's beautiful. It's just gorgeous how they shoot everything. And it's a very dull landscape, and they really do amazing things with it. So I guess so that's kind of so again, when I get into something, I get like obsessed with it.
Sure. Yeah. I think we all probably do that.
Yeah. Okay. So are you a dog person, cat person? Maybe you're a sloth, manatee, if you could choose an animal to have.
Yeah, so nothing against cats. I'm totally fine with cats, but I'm definitely a dog person, and have two bulldogs, Elvis and Rex.
Oh my goodness.
Those are great names.
They're such bulldog names.
Yeah, they are. Elvis is an English bulldog, and he was a rescue, so he was named Elvis when we brought him home. And the French bulldog, my daughter named Rex, for the Latin folks out there, means king.
And I'm sure he is in the house.
Yeah.
Now, how do they get along well, the two of them?
like siblings. Elvis, being the older, really does. I mean, he barely tolerates Rex, and Elvis is like 70 pounds, and Rex is like 20 something. And then Rex loves Elvis. Rex just can't get enough of Elvis, and that kind of, I think, plays out in a lot of homes with multiple children.
Yep, that annoying little sibling. Yeah, I have one of those, and he's even now. Sorry, Bobby, if you're listening. That's so funny. We're gonna have to see a photo one day of these dogs because I love dogs too. So we're gonna have to see them.
It'd be my pleasure.
You're like, I was just hoping you'd ask. And last question is, even though we're past, the pandemic, I'd like to say we're past it, but is there something that you miss from those pre-pandemic days?
My abs. I'm starting to get really concerned. They're not coming back.
I have mine. They're just they're underneath a lot of
protected now.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just might be gone.
That's too funny.
That's a good one.
Yeah. What do you two miss pre-COVID days?
I think we've talked about this before with some other people. One thing for me is just the naivety of everything. I've been fully back into travel for some time now, but it's still, I'm embarrassed when I cough on a plane, or you do see someone sick and it's like, oh God, are they going to get me sick, to a level? I mean, not that you didn't feel that before, but not the same. And I just think ignorance was bliss a little bit before that.
Sure.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I'm in the same boat. Yeah. But then we have things like this, like we were talking about accessing Zoom and how,
Right.
you just have to look at the positive side of things, which I think that we've really covered here, which is really nice.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you.
Well, Jim, this has been an awesome conversation. I hope some of our listeners can take some new ideas and things that they can use video for their associations. But we really appreciate your time, and thanks for joining us on the A100 today.
It has been a pleasure. Thank you both for having me.
Thanks, Jim.
And that's a wrap on today's episode. Thanks for listening to the Association 100 podcast, brought to you by the A100 publishing team, powered by Onward and Upward Marketing and Communications. You can subscribe to the Association 100 podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and all of your favorite podcast listening apps so you'll never miss out. Or listen via our website at theassociation100.com. Follow us on Twitter at Association100. That's Association100 for all the latest insights and trends impacting the world of associations. Thanks for tuning in.